So this is my response to what human beings were meant for, and how we currently operate. It's in order for us to create a little bit of contrast to discern and analyze our current situation as opposed to what our highest potential points towards, and actually visualizing, um, and thus creating the necessary circumstances for us to transcend or go beyond suffering, go beyond fear, which is the product of, well, illusion is the product of fear, false evidence appearing real. So if we want a collective consciousness that quite in order and structured in a beautiful geometric, like a beautiful geometric pattern, we need to consider our true potential. And now is the time for us to do that, because when we are in lockdown, we can take a look at our individual sort of values. So let's see, if your individual values points towards an external phenomenon, such as, well, it could be materialistic means of accumulating stuff that is highly superficial and not really lasting. It's not permanent. It's not a permanent, secure, comfortable place to be 24/7. Well, that's actually pointing towards, well, this is not really the most prioritized, highly valued value in life. So, and that's also a means of measuring whether I should, through this principle, by using this principle, you can measure whether your values are in line with a universal intelligence that is guiding you towards love, towards understanding, insight, and the homecoming of or realization of your true nature. So, if you really want to look at life from a higher perspective, from a helicopter perspective, take a look at how whole you feel. Like, am I already enough, or do I lack something? Is there any kind of resistance? Is there any kind of friction within myself right now, both physically but also spiritually or mentally? So we need to transcend the physical aspect and recognize the metaphysical contribution that should, this is our task, this is our mission, our vision as human beings, to transcend and to evolve towards unconditional love, which is synonymous with realizing the metaphysical aspect of reality, the indescribable but yet extremely infinite nature of everything, that is unconditional love, that is living life to the utmost, I should say. So, human beings, we live in a distortion. The collective consciousness is highly distorted due to a lack of perspective, of this metaphysical perspective, and hence we are lost in a program, and everything that is being developed. For instance, a vaccine. If you develop any means of externally taking care of any symptoms within the human being whether maybe a pill or a pharmaceutical drug that you take that will cure your disease or whatever. Well, that's a highly distorted level of intelligence, and you also create actually yet another problem. Maybe you can solve it individually in that individuals in on a individual level for one human being, but it will actually do more harm than good due to if the collective consciousness aren't in alignment with nature and with the natural universal intelligence that is prevailing all of life, and we're not harmonizing like the principle, the Tao, like this, we're gonna create imbalance in our civilization. And so if we develop already inside an illusion, another illusion is gonna create even more imbalance. And actually it will be accumulative in a downward negative spiral. So it will actually distort our reality and view of reality even further. And thus create tremendous suffering and tribulation for individuals and organizations and society as a whole on a global basis. So really what we need to do is to recognize our true nature, recognize our deep sense of aliveness, which is to be found in this moment right here. If one realize that this is literally it, the present moment in which I find a sense of peace, this will literally be the gateway or the door that I open to a higher intelligence. And so resonating with this aliveness, or being, as opposed to becoming, recognize one's own permanent being as infinite consciousness, not identified with any particular thing, worldly thing per se, or any object, whether it being a thought or a feeling or an emotion or your body or whatever, personality. All of that is identification, and that's that's nothing but an illusion, a limited aspect of reality, a limited aspect of yourself actually, because there only is self, ultimately speaking. But one can even transcend self in the recognition that it's not really anything. This is nothing. It's nothing seemingly doing this. It's nothing seemingly pretending itself to be, or unity pretending itself to be a individual living a life on planet Earth right now. But that is the infinite expressing itself. That is wholeness expressing itself. So recognize your true nature, and then you will, in a sufficient, effective manner, proliferate that heart-based energy, and that can literally pull other people in almost like a magnet and create a ripple effect throughout humanity. And this is the cure for every disease on planet Earth. A vaccine and pharmaceuticals and external means of healing stuff. It can work for a little while, and it's actually necessary now. It's actually necessary to a degree in our society, but it's only a period. No, it's only a period in our history, in our progression towards becoming unconditional love. When we are already enough, we are infinite consciousness. You can literally heal yourself from all disease. You can heal yourself from everything. It's quite obvious. So there's no longer anything to be afraid of. And when love becomes the dominating principle, the dominating means of expression, of sharing, of uniting, of work, passion, of going about living our lives. Unconditional love realized, not just a conceptual idea, but actually realized, then everything will change, and there will no longer be any viruses, any disease, because we have transcended transcended altogether that frequency, the lower vibrational frequency, fear, false evidence appearing real, which contains, envelops all what we call and relate to and associate with dis-ease, both mentally and, psychologically, mentally, and spiritually, physically, whatever. So yeah,